Hey yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to the second tutorial on my channel. Today we're gonna take a closer look to my Listen to Your Heart bootleg that I made a couple months ago. So this is the second tutorial that I've made. If you wanna watch my first tutorial, go watch it first because some of the techniques that I used are included in the first tutorial. For example, when we're gonna take a closer look to the chords or the piano, the melody, I will explain my technique, how I made it in the first video. But for now, let's take a closer look to my bootleg of Listen to Your Heart. If you haven't heard it before, go listen to it on YouTube, SoundCloud. Links will be in the description. So, first of all, let's take a look to the melody and the intro that I made. It's very simple. I'm gonna take the master off because I will take a closer look to the mastering at the end of the video. But first, so the intro consists of it's a 8-bar loop. Yes, it's an 8-bar loop or 8-bar section, and it contains a piano which plays the melody. I'm gonna cut it out like this, and underneath are the chords. So what I did was I looked online for the MIDI of the original song. I have the MIDI here, but if I play it, it's too fast because it's half tempo. But let's let's listen to it. So this is the melody, but doubled, so hardstyle-y vibes. So what I did was I opened another project, I put in the MIDI, converted it to the halftime that I'm using it here for, so 75 BPM, not 150. I bounced it and then I put some effects on it. It's channel 1, an EQ, a bit of a stereo shaper, an enhancer for making it a bit wider, opening it up, and a compressor. Nothing fancy at all, and it sounds like this. And it repeats after that. The chords, same thing, open up another project, a separate channel, same kind of EQing out the sub bass because we need it later, boosting a little bit of the highs, removing the mids, stereo shaping for making it wider as well, and together they sound like this. So that's the intro. Because I didn't make a really extended version of it, only a radio edit, it sweeps in with a cashmere sweep and a crash. Or better yet, like this. Nothing special. And then to end the intro, I have some strings that play the chords as well, and I believe, is it Nexus? Yes, it's Nexus, the hybrid strings on separate channels. Same thing, compressors, stereo shapers to make them wide, and I have them linked to this channel, channel 38, to control the volume of them, of the group at once, and they sound like this. So yeah, nothing special here, but they complement the chords. So yeah, it sounds more epic, more emotional, and that's why I put them in. So together. You don't hear them as much as maybe you want to, or maybe you expect them to, like a big orchestra, but it's just for filling up the space and to have a little bit of a variation in the intro as well. So that's the intro part, nothing special. It's like 10 minutes of work. So yeah, and then we have the first break where the vocal comes in.
I know there's something in the wake of your smile.
Same thing as in the Around the World video. I looked online for the vocal. I found it at acapellas4u.uk. So this is not the Roxette vocal, it's the DHT. It's already a cover of the original song, and the DHT cover is also more acoustic, so I found it more soothing for this future bass chill pop vibe. What's on here? An EQ, and de-esser for the S sounds, a compressor, a little bit of reverb, the epic sausage fattener, and another EQ, again high frequencies, the resonance to cut it a bit, and also an Edison, but I will show you later for what I used that. So yeah, it's the a cappella. I chopped it up to fit the tempo and the melody and the spacing. To fill up a little bit of the space, also here the Cashmere natural ambience rain. Just an EQ on it. You don't hear it in the track, but it's just, again, to fill up the space, give more ambience, more natural feel. The chords again with the strings.
In the wake of your smile, I get a notion from the looking.
And the big guy to really start the track, the sub bass. It's a 3 oscillator again. I use this a lot because it sounds good. And what's on it, put it in mono and just the compressor and lots of boosting. Yeah, and it sounds like this. And all together.
I know there's something in the wake of your smile.
That's the first break. Again, some effects, crashes and sweeps. That's just an easy way to transition into the first break. And then for the build-up, or leading up to the build-up, again some crashes, and the bass or the sub-bass switches up from single notes to a more bass sound like I did in my Around the World track or bootleg. If you don't have a good speakers or good headphones, you won't hear it as much, but it's in there, so it switches up. It's more like a rhythm, yeah, a rhythmic bass, so you know the track is evolving. Again, adding some variation into the track, otherwise it will sound stale very quickly. I will enable all these effects already. So yeah, those are all the effects. And then I added an ARP, and it sounds like this. So plucky sound with a lot of sharp or a harsh high pass filter on it to cut everything from the semi-mids off. Lots of reverb, compressor, then a EQ again for all the mud from the reverb to cut everything out. Stereo shaper, a little bit of Camel Crush to get a little bit of a distorted sound, and I have an auto pan which does this. So yeah, it's pans from the left to the right, and it's a variation. So together with the track, it sounds like this.
To your heart, when he's calling for you, listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do.
So again, the ARP helps to let the track progress. A little bit of ear candy as well. And then we have the first build-up. So before the build-up, I cut out the bass.
Before you tell him goodbye.
So yeah, it's more epic feel. And then the build-up, it's very short. And what I did here was I added, yes, some sweeps, bass again, and a build-up from Kashmir and no, Cymatic, sorry. And it sounds like this. That's the build-up. The bass is the bass that I use for the drop. It's GMS, and I think it's a bass that I've got from a future bass template. So I saved it as a soft bass, future bass, so it's easy to find. So yeah, you can take a look at it if you want to recreate it. It's something that I found online, this preset, I think. And the big thing that I did here was I took this part, because she sings here.
Tell him goodbye.
So the goodbye, I took the Edison that you saw on the master, or on the vocal, it's here. I put it in, so that I put the vocal in, I chopped it up where I wanted it, and then I looped this part, so I can raise it up like a riser in here. So you have like one note that plays throughout the build-up, and it gives more energy to the build-up as well. So like this. And I cut off the volume because here you have the pre-drop vocal, so altogether it sounds like this.
Before you tell him goodbye.
And then you have the drop. Very simple, basic future bass drop. So you have the kicks and the snares and the claps. I'm gonna solo it so you can hear it better. So it's like this. Nothing special. The kick in mono, some compression, some EQing, a soft clip on it so it gets more punch, and I pitched it up a half step to be in the right key, and a top kick as well, same thing, only the top kick, only need the high frequencies. And then 2 layered snares, same thing, IQ, an EQ, a little bit of Camel Crush for get a distorted sound, and same thing over here. This effect I use to rejoin the melody or get back into the drop, so you have a sweep sound. Nothing special there. So the vocal. So. And then with the reverb, it sounds better. Then the chords super saws. I think those are Alesso super saws that I use and sound like this. So these are all the saws or the layers that I use. The big thing is just cut out all the bass, maybe even the mids or low mids, because there are super saws that need to complement the bass or the main lead if you have a lead in it. So yeah, stereo shape them, make it wide so they don't take up the middle where your vocal or your bass and your super saw and your melody is. So yeah. Then we have the bass, which I showed you before. It's the GMS. And then we have the main, we have the sub bass to fill up the low end. Of course, there is a kickstart on it, or a side chaining to free up the space for the kicks. And then we have, as you can see here, kickstarters. And then we have the main melody, and it's square-based leads. So these are the layers. Again, some EQing, stereo shaping, camel crushing for a little bit of more distorted sound, because I really wanted this like a really aggressive future-based track or chill vibe, but still a little bit aggressive and edgy sound. That's why I used a lot of camel crusher in this project. So yeah, these are just square bass leads. And plugs to give more attack. And together in a track they sound like this. Cymbal transition, and then I added some hi-hats. They play this. So they fill up a little bit more space, more energy, more groove. So that's the drop. Let's take a look to the second break and the second build-up. I continued the kick, the drum loop, and an extra kick to give more groove. It's easier for DJs if they play the track to have a kick to continue playing the track. The sub bass is the same. The hi-hats from the drop I added as well. The chords and the strings and the vocal, just the same. Nothing special there.
Sometimes you wonder if this fight is worthwhile. The precious moments are all lost in the tide. Yeah, they're swept away.
So I kept in the beginning. So if you listen to the track in full, you have the beginning where the energy level is really low, because you only have the chords and the piano. Then you have the build up to the drop with the kick and the bass, and everything comes together. So the second part, I kept the energy is lower than the drop, but it's higher than the intro or the first break. So the track progresses through the time. That's why I did this. It's a loop that I use. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong for using like samples or loops, which I chopped up a bit. So I cut out this kick and added some more. So it's not a really original loop. So I edited it a bit. So yeah, this is the first part of the second break, and then the ARP comes back in. And what I did here is the same thing that I used for my Around the World. So I got the kick again with the low pass filter on it. So you hear a muffled kick in the build-up, and the chords are the same supersaw that I use for the drop, but also with a low pass filter on it. So they're in the background, and you know that the second drop is coming again. And it keeps the energy level from the first part, and from the drop it keeps it. So the track progresses again. I feel like I'm saying that over and over again, but it sounds like this.
When he's calling for you, listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do. I don't.
And etc. The last drop, there's a little bit of variation at the beginning. The kicks are a little bit different, not much different, but it begins with a variation. So yeah, just this extra kick gives more like sweeping in again, like the boom, 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 boom. So yeah. So yeah, and in the both the drops I use this percussion loop from Kashmir, just to fill up the space again. You don't hear it as much in the track, it's just in the background somewhere, but it helps. And then the outro is actually the same as the intro, with the strings, the chords, the piano, and the sub bass. So it sounds like this. So yeah, it sounds like this, and that's the end of the track. So let's take a look at the master. So the master I got from an Asher Portman video on YouTube, where he made a future bass track with only stock plugins. The bass sound, this one, so I was talking about the bass. It's the bass that he used as well. So now I can remember where I got it from. So yeah, go check this video. I will link the video in the description. So yeah, I got a lot of inspiration and techniques from his video. And the master I just used because I found it a very good master. So what he did was a little bit of EQing, the Maximus on it for the mastering, and a limiter as well. And together, when this was enabled, it sounded loud, not clipping, and it sounded good. So the drop sounds like this. So more energy, loud, clear, and I was very happy with the end result. So this concludes this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Please subscribe, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.